Streaming, and I think we're doing this. I think we're live. Here we are. Listen, one day we are going to meet our call sheet time. We're 17 minutes late this time. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
I think we're live. Welcome, Steve. Steve.
Hi, Dave.
It's another week. We always start out so stupid. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. It is another Friday. It's NAMM week here in Los Angeles, which is kind of exciting, sort of. I think me and Steve talked about it for a minute, and we're going to chat about that today. We're going to chat about some Nuno Bettencourt stuff, something that I transcribed that was really fun, some really cool thing that he plays. So I'll show you guys how to play that. It's real simple. For the most part, the feel of it and the swing of it's a little difficult. It's a great little solo. We're going to talk a little bit about Phil X. There's he came up with the NAMM stuff. I was watching some videos, and I remember I had transcribed something to his a long time ago on our channel. I'll put a link to that in the description. So there's this really cool lick that he just runs up. It's kind of like an open string countryish kind of thing, but it's rock and it's all dissonance. It's all pentatonics with major minor thirds and blues notes. And it's one of his, there's like 4 or 5 things that he does and he switches them up a little here and there, but he likes that dissonant sound. And this is one of those things. And he came here and it was one of the first really cool things that happened on Guitar Breakdown. So we're going to show that lick again just because it's so fun. I had to relearn it. We're going to talk a little Coltrane. Me and Steve have been going back and forth transcribing a little Coltrane. Steve had a question about the Holdsworth challenge that I put to him. So jam-packed full of stuff. I hope everybody's having an amazing week. January's almost over. It's almost Christmas again. And I hear if you're back east, you're getting hit with some negative degree wind chill factor this week. So Steve, how you feeling? Cold?
Yeah, it's bad, dude. It's bad. I mean, like it was like snowmageddon at the ShopRite today. We ran in, ordered the groceries, and I was just like, thank God I don't wait online anymore. I just show up and they're waiting for me because it was like end of the world at the Lyndhurst ShopRite in New Jersey. But it was good. Today was good. It's just everybody's preparing. So all my stuff is done. I've got food. I've got my guitar. I've got my old little Fender Strat here with me. I'm making up for practicing because I watched Rambo before. You can be flipping through the channels and like I'll sit there and noodle and then like Rambo comes on and I'm just done. It's 2 hours. It's over.
That's funny.
I mean, it's just, like so many good Rambo quotes too. It's like, are you telling me 200 of our men against your boy is a no-win situation for us? You send that money. Don't forget one thing. What? A good supply of body bags.
You should have been an actor, buddy.
So man, I'm an actor, all right,
dude.
But like such a great flick, man.
Yeah, it's so. We were just talking before we put this. I was like, have you ever seen the movie or the show? What is it called?
Not Longmire.
Brockmire.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I started watching that the other night, and it's a Funny or Die thing. They created a few series, and this went on for like 4 seasons. And so Hank Azaria, it is if anybody watching this likes inappropriate humor, it is the most amazing thing in the world. Like it starts off with the funniest joke. Like he's a baseball commentator, but he's having issues with his wife and all this stuff, and he's talking. So I walked in on my wife the other day, and that's just a pitch outside. Okay, that's going to be strike 2. And she was with these 2 guys, and he just it is
Eddie May was going to say
yes, and everything that he says is so inappropriately funny.
Yes.
And I'll be like, I was making dinner last night, and it was on in the background, and all of a sudden he said this joke, and I just started cracking up laughing. I had to go rewind it, and it's amazing. We are easily entertained, dude.
We kind of, I think we're turning the page this week, and I'm going to go there, Dave, and I'm going to break character of the good guy here. But we were watching some YouTube this week. And I'm not gonna say.
I'm nervous already.
I'm not gonna say anything. But like if you guys watching this, and if there's anybody watching right now, we found a channel. Oh, somebody's saying that the feedback is bad, Dave.
Really?
Yeah. Echoing.
Dude, you know what? Is it? All right, SS73, thank you for that. Is it just when we speak over one another, or is it like when I speak individually? Because when I recorded it to do a test, everything was fine until we started speaking over each other.
No, it's me.
The guy holding the red strat, the voice double.
When we both talk.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
Man, should we call it and then do it over? There's something going on with the. So it's not when I talk. Is it when Steve talks by himself with the red guitar? So Steve, talk.
I'm talking again. When we both talk at the same time. Oh man. You know what? I'm going to have to just take myself off the island. I'm going home.
Oh, that's funny. You want to start this over? I mean, we can't.
You want to do? That would be awesome if we actually did a 7-minute show. Right. Now, Six Strings is saying now it stopped.
Well, it stopped when we're not talking over each other. So start talking over me. Be rude like you usually are. Talk over me, buddy. Yeah, no. Be rude. Go ahead. Talk over me.
What do you want me to talk about?
I don't know anything. It's not Dave. Of course it's not me. Now it's doing
it's Dave, you know what? You're so good. Do the show by yourself, you fuck.
Okay, you know what? Let me try one thing. I'm turning something off real quick. Now let me now Steve, talk over me real quick. It's the other mic.
Right,
okay, talk over me. Let me know if this is actually causing the echo. Sorry for everybody who's watching this and we're audio
you guys,
checking.
Man.
Let me know if this is working now because I turned off the desktop audio and it might be because of that.
Oh, let's see. I'm waiting on Six Strings. Come on, don't let me down.
SS73. This is like a racehorse game. I'm waiting on SS73.
No, I got Six Strings.
I don't know.
Ah!
No. All right. It's because we're getting an echo maybe through the desktop audio. So anytime I'm doing that desktop, we can't really have you speak. So sounds good now, Steve. Talk over me real quick. Tell me a joke. Tell me some kind of joke.
Over you.
And everything. All right. Last time. Everybody's good? Come on. Say yes.
Say yes,
lie
guys.
To us. Don't lie to us.
Well, don't lie to us.
Because that'll make this the worst podcast ever.
I mean, it already. Well, there's other podcasts that are way worse, but not very much.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Okay, I think we narrowed it down. You guys are amazing. And I like how there's a number 1 and number 2 next to you both. You're both number 1 in my book. Thank you.
And where are you guys joining us from?
I was just going to say that.
I beat you to it.
Yeah, I know. You're the number 1 racehorse here. But so, yeah, actually, that was probably a good interruption because you were about to bag on a YouTube channel. And then
oh, dude, I am full torching a channel. And I'm not going to say that it's like the best channel ever. And so Dave and I.
Yeah, here's the thing. I was watching something. It was early morning. I had to get up super, super early. Oh, from Jersey? We're in Jersey, dude. We're from both. Steve's in Jersey right now, and I'm from there. I was there at Christmas for the holidays. Maybe we talked about this already. I have the worst memory, so excuse me, Six Strings, if I haven't remembered this. So I was up early. I had to do something. I don't get up early, man. I don't like alarms, and so we'll get to music stuff real soon. I'm just telling this stupid story to get into this this channel. So I'm up like. If I go to sleep really early, which I never do, I usually go to sleep at like 3 a.m. or something. But sometimes I'm like, man, I got to get up early, so I got to go to sleep at 10:30. But then I wake up at 3 a.m, and then I'm up for a couple hours. And then I start perusing and doing nonsense stuff. So I'm watching. There was this thumbnail that kept coming up on YouTube. And and it was a guitar channel like ours or whatever, and it's they were teaching stuff, and they had decent titles. And I was like, you know what? They were teaching some triad thing, and I was like, this is the fourth time I've saw in 4 days this thumbnail. I got to click on it, see what it is, just to see who this person is. And I immediately started laughing, and I sent it to Steve, and I said, listen, I don't understand. And the reason why I was laughing was not because it was a beginner guitar player, clearly a beginner guitar player, teaching how to play guitar. Now, the crazy thing is, well, I sent it to Steve, and I was like, I'm like, Steve, I don't mean to be a dick. I'm like, but what? I mean,
what is this?
Yes.
What is this?
How does somebody have so much confidence? And the crazy thing is, too, their channel looked great. Like, they had all this great gear behind them. They had, the lighting was good. The sound quality was good. And it really expensive gear. And it was set up like, all those guys that you see, their backgrounds have everything, looking shelves with pedals on it and everything. I'm like, they've got everything, but they can barely play chords and everything. They didn't tune their guitar. They bent notes at it. Like, every note was bent out of key. I sent it to Steve.
and I'm just like, and the thing about it is like, I just kept marveling at their confidence, because it was like, wow, like, you guys should be taking lessons, like, you shouldn't be giving lessons. And it was like everything we're not, you know what I mean? In terms of like the gear, the professionalism, like the production, like they actually have production quality.
So, I mean, they're so far ahead of the game. They've got everything in place. They're just, and I say them because it was a guy, and then I saw there were two guys. They sit in the same room together and they're showing, they do some gear reviews, and again, even that, they're just strumming a chord. They move the pedal knob, they strum the chord, and the chord's out of tune, so you really can't hear what the pedal's doing anyway. And then they take a little pentatonic thing and bend. It was hard not to. I appreciate. I hate saying. I'm not saying a bad thing. The guy, they're in the game. They're at least in the game with that confidence.
And the thing is that, like, well, I'm not hating on them. I'm actually impressed by their confidence. But at the same time, it's like, there's a lot of bad educators on the internet. And this is like the perfect element where, like, somebody that could learn how to play guitar would be like, oh, yeah, this is, and learn something and have it be completely wrong. Like, the guy was teaching, like, the video was titled Triads, and he's teaching like pentatonic soloing and like improvising, and I'm like, damn, dude.
And so Six Strings he's from Jersey, so he's clearly gets. We're not being dicks. We may sound like it. I'm not trying to say anything bad about them. Both of us aren't. But it was pure entertainment. Like, it was actually. I mean, I haven't cried, laughed with another man.
Yeah, we were literally on the phone. I'm in my office at work, and I literally had to get up and leave the office because I was laughing so hard. And also, the problem was, I'm in the middle of doing a million things, and people are watching me laugh, and I'm just like, I got to get out of here. But the best part of the whole thing were the comments for the video. Like, again, I don't want to say we're going to shit on them, because we're not, but it's just I mean, we are sounding like we're kind of shitting on them.
Well, I mean, the one aspect of shitting on them, and again, it's not shitting on them. It's saying there's so much out. The problem with them doing that is there were a few comments in there and they could have been friends or whatever, that say, oh man, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much, which is great. But say you and I went on YouTube for the first time ever, and there are plenty of people that do. A lot of people are Instagram people, Facebook people. They don't do YouTube, or they don't really play guitar. They just pick it up, and now they're going to explore YouTube. And if that video is the first video they see, and they like their personality, because they had great personality, they're nice guys, but
didn't have good personalities.
Not personalities, but they were good people. They seemed like they were very.
They would be like the kind of guy that would, like, if you were homeless and you asked them for $1, they'd give you $1. Where like, if they asked me, I'd be like, go F yourself.
I'm going to mute
I
Steve.
mean?
Now, see, Steve's more New Jersey because he's still there. I've lost a lot of that. I'm a little more polite. So 6 strings could identify Steve's the dick. I'm the nice guy.
Right.
But SS73,
No,
I don't know if you understand this kind of humor and the whatever, as far as I'm really not ragging on him. It was just so much entertainment for like, I needed that cry laugh. Like that was my day, even though it was so early in the morning, it was already stressed. And
yes.
I was laughing. So, and the fact was like we couldn't, I kept sending Steve a new video. We were going through the whole channel and I said, all right, this is the last one, I promise. And then I'd see another, or Steve would send me one. I'd start watching that. I go, dude, did you fast forward to 2 minutes and something? You got to see what had just happened. And so anyway, thank you for that entertainment.
Yeah, and so if anybody wants to know, if anybody wants, this is going to be our Patreon right here. If you give us a Patreon, then we will give up who this page.
Right, I got to start a Patreon tonight. Definitely, I have a Patreon. I've never launched it, but anyway, that's a different thing. So anyway, back to the guitar stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed that silly story, and I hope you guys, if you guys have any channels that really make you laugh, or there's channels that you guys actually watch a lot of. Let us know. I am a consumer of YouTube all day, every day. Like at least 6 hours a day, I'm watching YouTube, whether it's downloading stuff to transcribe or researching or just I stumble on a new person or like, here, let's talk about the first thing, which is NAMM. NAMM's going on right now. So, of course, this week, all I'm doing is watching NAMM videos. I only started it yesterday, actually, a little bit yesterday and a little today, watching everybody's walkthrough. I know a lot of people didn't show up to NAMM. Even last year, Fender wasn't there. The big rooms, it costs so much and they don't get an ROI on it, a return.
No.
So a lot of these people aren't showing up. There's a lot of booths that are being combined together, 2 or 3 guitar makers, an amp maker, and they share the booth. I see Ibanez is putting out a lot of stuff. They've got their lineup of Josh Smith's guitars, all their Nolly Brosh, I believe her name is. Is that what it is? But there's a whole bunch of Ibanez artists. Joe Satriani has a new gold, I think all gold color or something like that. I think that couldn't have been the one we played. We played a gold one though, didn't we?
No, that was red.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm colorblind. So they put out an all gold. They put out, there's a Steve Vai one. There's some generic Ibanez guitars that kind of have the Vine stuff that Steve Vai has in his inlay. There's some George Benson stuff. Some, there's Ibanez seems to be cranking out a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But overall, I didn't really I watched, I try not to watch like the Sweetwater or the Anderton recaps because I tend to believe that is just basically bought and paid for by their biggest, partner vendors. So I'll watch independent guys that have no real vested interest, and you kind of get a vibe for like what's kind of going on from that. In years past, you'll see something, and I just haven't really felt any real vibe off of it, or really anything coming out of, I know like the one thing that looked interesting was there's like a mini quad cortex that got introduced at NAMM week, which for me, I don't necessarily think it's a purchase that I would make, because I'm probably going to buy the Nano. Just because I'm not profiling, I'm just going to be using it for, whatever profiles are already available. I hadn't seen anything gear wise that was like either introduced or just guitars.
So the one thing that I mentioned to you that I saw that was that JBL. They're putting out that one thing that splits the stems, that it does an AI thing where it splits stems and you can pull the guitar tracks out, the drums and all that. It's kind of like a karaoke kind of box. It can record. It has a lot of decent technology in it, and it's actually has guitar tones online. You plug in. Mm-hmm. You can get some decent
what
guitar
looks
sounds.
Super, super compelling is that if you can just have the guitar isolated and like use just to hear that. I mean, now I haven't
Now,
really
the only
seen.
thing that it doesn't do is slow. I don't think it can
I
slow
was just
stuff
gonna
down.
say I don't
Yeah.
think it slows down. So
Yep.
at that point, I don't know if it's a purchase that I would necessarily need to make.
Well,
Because
for
I'd
that
want to have
price
it.
too, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I think the large one was over $500-600, $500. The
Yeah.
small one was $300-400. I mean, it's cool if you're jamming with a band, and it does do some. It changes pitch. So if you want to sing in a different key, and say you're a band, you don't have. Say you're a singer and a bass player and a drummer, you can maybe take all those out, or and just keep the guitar in there, or whatever, or the singer, and if you need to lower the pitch to go to a key change. So those things are interesting but for our use as a jam tracky kind of thing, I don't know. What I was interested in is that whole stem separation. I wonder if there's something out there that does that, because I look for isolated tracks often, just because. Okay, so another thing, real quick, side note, there's a demo of Eat 'em and Smile, the David Lee Roth Eat 'em and Smile. It's like 5 or 6 tracks of that.
You sent me that. Yep.
Dude, it is so cool, because there's Buffalo Gun. Is that what it's called? Buffalo.
No, Ladies Night in Buffalo is one of the songs.
Yeah.
Gun.
There's another track on there that what's so interesting is some of these don't even have really lyrics fleshed out, but some of the guitars, you can tell it's still Steve Vai and those guys, and some of the solos aren't in there, like they're just playing rhythm during the solo section.
Yeah.
So and then some of the licks are way different than what was on the album, but there's one part in this one tune where you hear Steve Vai do like a pick scrape up and down real quick, and then you also hear Billy tap on a few little harmonics that I've never heard in the track because it's buried in the mix.
Sure.
Yeah, it's super, super cool stuff, dude. But that, again, I look for those kind of isolated guitar tracks.
Yeah, I mean, because that is like when you're, if you're pulling, if you're trying to transcribe this stuff, I mean, you need for especially for somebody with a crappy ear like myself, I need every advantage as I can get. So that would help, But again, if I can't slow it down, I don't know if I want to spend $500 on something. That's the only thing.
I mean, it's definitely targeted to other people that are, either jamming with in your basement, or people doing maybe a wedding band and they want the control of something. I mean, because it Bluetooth connects to tunes, and I think you could take it right off.
But I mean, for $500, that's a lot. I mean, I know New X had a practice thing that was like a $200 thing. It just came out a couple of months ago, I believe, and. I'm not super dialed in on all the gear, but I don't know. I just think like the problem, with all the gear that's coming out is what's the brackish point for what people are willing to spend on practice gear? So maybe, if you guys are watching, anybody that's watching, like, what kind of stuff when you're just like at home practicing are you using? Like for me, if I'm here, like this is so basically like I am in my dining room in my house, and right next to me here, I have my Tone X and I have the Katana, which I'm using kind of as a poor man's FRFR, going into the power amp section. But I use that, and then upstairs I have a really old Yamaha THR, one of those little 10-watt amps, and so like. I bought it for $200. I mean, but why would I go out and spend something else, for a practice amp when that still works so great? So that's the problem, is that a lot of this gear, it doesn't necessarily, I don't think practice like that kind of combo amp, practice amp. I don't know that that's something that you go out and buy more than one time. I mean, but yeah, if anybody's watching, what are you guys using at home just kind of for practicing and stuff?
Yeah, and let us know if you guys have been watching any of the NAMM stuff and if you've seen anything interesting. Like I said, the Ibanez booth seemed to be filled with stuff. I bookmarked a Larry Carlton thing. I guess he played there. They said, the full set and the Q&A or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure he played, 5 or 6 tunes. And
I saw a picture. My friend Joe, who he transcribes for Hal Leonard, he had a Facebook post just a few minutes ago where Gilbert was playing with Steve Morse at the Ernie Ball booth. and he was all the way in the back, and there must have been like 60 people, like 60 rows deep of people. I was just like, and I wrote like on his page, I'm like, yeah, no, I would never do that. Like,
Well,
just not doing that.
well, and I saw, or before NAMM, I saw a Blue Saraceno, and I think Paul were going to play together.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. That might be the last day.
Yeah.
I know Kiesel has an off-site thing. They don't have a booth, but they have an off-site thing, and I forget who was. There were 2 or 3.
I saw
people.
Greg Howe. I think Greg Howe is there.
Yes. Yep.
I'm not really dialed in on the Kiesels, but I saw that, I'm on Greg Howe's Facebook.
Yeah. I'm more interested in the Kiesel stuff now. Funny enough, when it first got switched from Carvin to Kiesel, I loved Carvin. I had the Jason Becker Carvin. I still wish I had that. But it was such. I bought it because I saw Jason with it on the cover of the magazine. I was just, this is such a cool guitar. It had a beautiful finish to it. The pickups were awful, and the even the neck was very, very thin. I'm not a huge Ibanez thin neck guy, but I still loved it because it was, and the pickups were Carvin pickups, so they were just generic-y Carvin pickups. And it had like 5, a whole bunch of switches. It had so many options, but when I was first at music school, I didn't know my ear didn't adjust to any of that. So I just used, 2 different positions, the neck and bridge, and that was it really. But it was such a cool guitar. And then they switched over to Kiesel, and I remember they were having a lot of issues with that, and the QC wasn't good. I picked up one of those Jason Becker guitars, which I really wanted, because I remember when he came out with that, he was on the cover of the magazine with the gloves, and he had that wood guitar with the numbers on the neck and inlays, and they were all color and total 80s. I was like, I want that guitar. Then they finally put one out through Kiesel, I don't know, a decade ago or so, and I finally tried one, and it was not good. It was not good. Then I played one at NAMM 2 years ago, and it was a little better than I remembered than my first initial reaction to it. It was a little better, but it still wasn't good enough for me to dictate that price. But now I did pick up a Kiesel. I think I played one at Guitar Center when I saw you. I think.
Was there a Kiesel there?
I think I picked one up, and I actually liked
did. That's right. That's right. There was a Kiesel.
Yeah. And I actually really did. I liked it. They're definitely better now. So, and with Greg Howe and a few of the artists that they got on board, I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
My friend Kevin bought one last year. He's not watching, but I was talking to him this morning. And he still has it, but he had a lot of problems. He had a lot of problems with it when they sent it to him. They gave him a lot of crap. He was literally going back and forth with them, with their customer service department, and he literally had to go to a luthier in Atlanta to of fix. Yeah, so he's a lefty, and being a lefty, there's a lot of challenges, obviously, with kind of finding guitars when it's not quite as easy to find a good lefty guitar. So he kind of was like, I'll have them build me one. And it's funny because he ended up buying an Ibanez, I think, from Sweetwater, that he said he liked better than the Kiesel. I could be wrong, but I know that he seems to always end up gravitating towards that. But I've always, their customer service is, I've never bought a Kiesel, but every time, anything I've ever heard with that company has always been kind of negative. And there was another story, I don't think he minds me saying it, but Steve Ross, my teacher, who was on Shrapnel, had actually been playing a Carvin that he was, I think the deal was that they sent him the Carvin to use, and so he sent it in to get something done. And then they never sent it back to him. They just kept the guitar. But meanwhile, he used the guitar on his record. If you look up Midnight Drive, the Shrapnel record, he's on the cover and he's holding a white Carvin. And that was like his guitar. He was doing clinics, I believe, for Carvin. And then they just held the guitar on him. And he was like, I'll buy the guitar. Yeah. And that was like 30 years ago. But it just that always kind of put a bad taste in my mouth back then. I was just like, I don't necessarily trust a company with, you know, if this guy's actually playing them and on the record and, you know, mentioning that he uses them on the record and that's the treatment that he gets. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, that's the thing. Customer service with all these things, right? I mean, you can get it once they get a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth, you and then you don't go back to them for years, and things might have changed and whatever. Like I remember the Mesa Boogie store. I used to deal with them on the phone a lot, especially when I was back east, because everybody used the, you know, the what was it? The what was the one that Petrucci used? The rack thing.
Yeah,
Triaxis. Yeah. Okay. So that was really popular. Before that, everybody was using the Mark IIs and the Mark IVs and the rack mounts with the power amps, the 5050, PV 5050s. But the Boogie was so popular. So when I was back east, though, I would be calling out here to the one on Sunset Boulevard, and man, I hated talking to them. Then when I moved out here, they were the coolest people when I'd go in the store. I mean, they were awesome. So, you know, it's tough. But the funny thing, I'm interested when you said that lefty guitar thing. I had this conversation with somebody that, were we talking about lefty guitars and how the tension's different? And
but that is something that is accurate. Yeah.
So I never thought about that. So there's guys like who's that one blues guy that's
Eric
lefty?
Gales?
Yeah, Gales. And then, of course, there's Hendrix, and there's a few other people that used those guitars, and some of them flip them upside down,
right?
And when they do, they either keep the strings the same way, so now they're high E strings on the low part where we're used to playing a low string like Eric Gales, but Hendrix didn't play that way. He flipped the strings around, so now the tension's completely different because the tuning pegs up here are all the opposite way, and so the length of the string is different. And I never thought of that. It's amazing, and I wonder what. Yeah. So I have a guitar tech, Greg Bach, who deals with Michael Thompson. He's really good friends with Michael Landau and all these guys. I mean, he's been doing it for years out here. He builds his own guitars. He was on tour with Benson doing his guitars, a ton of stuff anyway. But he's a super good friend of mine, and I want to get him on here one time to chat about stuff. And that's one question I never have asked him in the 20 years of knowing him, how that would affect the tone, let alone the playability or setup of a guitar like that. We got 6 strings saying, I use plugins with my DAW, but I love the sound of a mic'd up amp better. Yeah, don't we all? Do you guys have any tips on mixing lead improv guitar with a song backing track? By the way, when I was before high school, I hated reading in front of people. I was so nervous that I'd stutter and...
Well, you do a great job now, Dave.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Except we get echoes when we have the desktop. As far as mixing lead, do you have any tips? Do you do much recording?
You know, I'm not a big plug-in, and like I have the computer thing all set up, but most of the time when I do any recording, it's literally it's just so much easier for me to just put an iPhone and record through that way. But I don't mic the stuff up, but I'm probably not the right person to.
So I have a good tip. I have an amazing tip, actually. Dave for the win, I think. Because I just learned this actually a couple weeks ago, funny enough, trying to figure out all this audio setup here. And I don't record a lot of stuff. I don't use, I use Adobe Audition to record my stuff just because I have the Adobe suite because I do a lot of 3D graphics and 2D graphics. So you wouldn't be able to tell with my logo here. But I used to use Pro Tools. But that was because I bought the little rack mount, the Digi 001. This was years ago, and of course that once we went to Windows XP, it didn't support it anymore. So then I had to go off of that. And then I was using again Audition, jumping in there. I've used a few others. I forget what was the one, but anyway, my neighbor is he used to work for American Idol. I've said this story before. He was the first few years American Idol. He was the musical director. So he records and he does sessions all the time. Now he just does them in his place. People send him tracks and, the typical thing people do nowadays. But I had him come here, and I was like, dude, why can't I get this? There's latency and there's all this and everything, and I got such good equipment and interfaces and all that. I have a Yamaha interface where I plug this mic in. It's more of a mixing board. I have the what are those other things? The 2i, what's the other? Focusrite, the 4i. I know it's got 4 channels. So I got good equipment, and I got a great computer because I do the 3D graphics. But there's always still latency. So I have a tip on the latency, but Six Strings, let us know if you're talking about how to record for tone purposes, or is it a latency thing? So the latency tip I got, which is fascinating. He was telling me, he's like, there's nothing you can do about latency. You're just going to have it because the audio has to go in if you're recording a guitar or something. If you're miking an amp or whatever, it's going into the computer. Then it has to get digitized. Then it's into the actual the software, and then it's got to be processed to come out of your headphones or wherever you're listening to it. So it's got these multiple things, and there could be a failure or a latency on everything. Now you have an audio card that you're dealing with too that's taking in all this information. If you're using your interface, I don't think you're bypassing your audio card. You're still, I'm not sure how that works. But the point is, he told me, I was like, so when I tried to record a solo over something, it was a disconnect from what I'm hearing the backing track on my DAW or my audio recording software, and when I'm playing, when it's recording into that, and it's just off a little. Now it's recording properly because the actual recording part is actually happening right. It's just spitting out back to my headphones wrong. So what he said is, I was using the Tone X, right? So I was dialed into that. That was into my recording software. He said, instead of using the output of your computer into your headphones, use the output on something like the Tone X, which is what you're putting your guitar through. Now you're getting the one-to-one sound of what you're playing on there. So you're not getting what's going into the system. And then use the speakers from your computer to play the backing track. So now you're getting the backing track. In real time, you're hearing what you're playing over it, not what's going into the computer and kicking out. So he just said, take your headphones off just a little bit and you'll hear everything clearly. And now you're having no sync issue when you're recording. Now, again, you could pay more and you can buy some more equipment that really has very, very low latency in all of this, but it kind of gets expensive. Anyway, that was a tip that I would have never thought of. And he's like, yeah, that's an old school trick that studios use all the time. If there's any kind of latency, you just kind of get it through your headphones here, what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. But I use plugins. It's for tone blending the sound of guitar with the song. I mean, that's a audio engineer thing. I've done some of that stuff. I used to do some audio engineering stuff for some studios, and you just have to have a good ear for it, obviously, but the levels have to be right to start. That's the biggest thing, because if you think if things are too much together, if you're doing, just think of something mono. Say you have something mono and you literally have guitar coming straight out, you have drums, you have all this stuff hitting you straight on, right? Now that gives you no leeway. Everything's just coming at you at once. And then if the levels are all within this point, right? You don't have something that's peaking or doing something else. Now it's all squished into this small little box. If you want the guitar to pop, you don't want it to pop so much to where it sounds like it's just something like, oh, now they just turned the guitar all the way up. So there is a trick of doing that, but a bigger trick is separating things right and left. If you listen to like early Van Halen and stuff, you'll hear, some of Eddie's guitar is only on the right speaker. So if you have a blown right speaker, you won't even hear his guitar, right? Same thing with Dave's vocals tend to be off left a little, but they're there. They're in the right too, and then the bass and drums tend to be, I forget how it was. I know there's a big difference between 1 and 2, or is it 1 and Fair Warning? There was a huge shift to where there was a different engineer, and instead of having Eddie to the right only, he put him more in the middle. And he was still to the right on certain things, and some of the effects were bounced back and forth. Sometimes he had the dry on the right, the dry signal on the right, and the wet on the left. But he had a little blend in the middle, but most of it was on one side or the other. So there's those kind of tricks. Oh, like pan the guitar to the left and right might help with. Oh, absolutely, because now you're getting this separation, and again, you don't want to do it just like I was saying with the audio level going, just taking the guitar and say, well, this is a guitar solo, so I'm going to crank the guitar. You don't want to just push it like that and be so blatant. So just pushing to the right or the left. And if you do push to the right or left, I think even my buddy that I was telling you, the American Idol guy, I should call him, his name's Dave too. He was saying basically you push things like 8 degrees to the right or left. Like it's not very far. You're not really panning like all the way 50% right, 50 left. Mm-hmm. So you're just slightly doing it. Maybe you put, 12 degrees to the right and 7 to the left or something on an effect kind of thing. And just experiment. And the more and the biggest thing too is listen to it. The big trick we used to do back in the day is we used to always listen to in our car stereo. Yeah. So you'd record it here, and even if you had really good monitors, when you listen to regular, you mix it on the good monitors that are just flat and give you just nothing. It's flat.
Yeah.
But you get
that was always the best part of the day too. Like when
yes.
you were recording, you'd run out to the car and listen to it. And
but it wasn't just for the fun of it. It was really to test and see
what
those kind of speakers are going to give you.
Right.
Yep.
Where everything sat and where you heard it in terms of just like the sound, where the instruments were.
I mean, there's so many parts to this, because again, here you are, if you're in front of your computer doing this recording and you're sitting right in between the speakers, right? If you're in your car and you're in the driver's seat and things are panned right or left, if things are panned to the right and you're sitting in the left driver's seat in America, you're not going to hear as much as what's on that right side. But if you move your head to the middle of the car, you'll just hear things differently. So, and then you have all the 5, the Atmos speakers, when you have all the surround sound and all that. I mean, when you're mixing to all that stuff, it's a lot. I mean, there's what I would suggest, dude, just literally ask ChatGPT. That's your best friend. Seriously. Say and like a conversation. You don't have to ask anything specific. Just, I don't know if you use it at all. There's also Cloud, ChatGPT, and what's the other one? There's another one that's really Gemini.
Do you use
Google Gemini?
Use ChatGPT for that? I use it for nefarious reasons.
Yeah, that's not good. No, we're not going to.
Yeah, I like make pictures of like friends and.
So. Yeah. So just literally ask, say, listen, this is my situation. I'm recording. I'm trying to do a mix. The mix isn't coming out as well as I want. I'm trying to separate the guitar a little more. But are there any tricks I can do? I've tried panning it a little right and left, opening, and it will literally have a conversation with you. And it's the smartest person in the room. It's taking the aggregate of all the information that's out there, and it's going to give you.
I should ask ChatGPT to transcribe the Holdsworth solo for me.
Yeah, I've tried. I'm waiting for those kind of ththings. In fact, there's a piece of software I was using on the iPad that was a long time ago. That was I was trying to draw the notes because I could write it out quicker than I can hotkey all these things. Then now I'm to the point where I think I could do that a little faster. But it was so much easier just to scribble it out, and you'd scribble it out and then it'd turn it into standard notation. It was really cool, but it just didn't do a perfect job of it. And then when you tried to do slurs and stuff, now this is that whole story about music stores and getting a bad taste in your mouth. That was 7-8 years ago. Maybe it's better now. Maybe they have something. The transcription thing, there's got to be a way where something can hear the audio and pull out and get at least 80% of your transcription rate. Even if it's just the rhythms and most of the notes. Right. Now you have all that. Now you go back and you just tweak things. Because anything that can save time, let's move on to maybe your the Holdsworth thing. You were saying you spent a little time trying to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, so just so everybody that's watching, if you haven't watched, Dave a couple weeks ago gave me a challenge. It was a 5 measures or so of was it like 5 measures, I think, that you had sent over, a notation?
Maybe 4 or 5, yeah.
And he sent me a piece of music that, like, from a song, a solo, and then he sent me a notation, and he's like, okay, you transcribe it and figure it out, and here's the notes. So
I gave him all the notation, rhythmically correct, everything was fine. I just took my tab part out of it, right, because the whole point was I came up with an initial, I'll go into it in a second if anybody's interested, the way I transcribe. And one of the first things is transcribe this and that. You figure out the notes, the rhythms, and then I figure out the fingerings. But while I'm doing that, I'm figuring out the fingerings. But then I go, well, these fingerings feel awkward. So then I'll go back and go, wait a second. If I do it this way, instead of playing this note on this string, I play it on this string. And so I ended up coming up with 3, maybe 4 different fingerings of the whole thing. Right. And what's great about that is each one has different patterns that you're like, man, I would have never played that shape. And now that becomes a thing. Now I start experimenting with that. And I said, you know what, Steve, I want to see, for somebody who doesn't really play a lot of Holdsworth, see, when I'm transcribing this too, I know enough about Holdsworth, some of his wide stretches, some of his fingering patterns, that I make my judgments on where he's putting his fingers based on that. Or I'll go to YouTube and watch, but then, sometimes, of course, he turns his back just when I want to see that part. But you told me
not to watch. So you told me not to watch.
Them, yep.
You just kind of like, so I feel like you want to just see where my fingerings are. Yep. But at the same time, I feel like you want to watch me fail just to see if I can't do this. So I'm I'm like sitting there, like, I'm like angry, like, oh. So the first thing I did was, like, I took the notes and I was like, all right. I got the notes and I was just like, because I can read music, but very, very badly. So, like a normal guitar player, I can't read very well. Most guitar players can't read at all. I have the advantage of being able to read, but that's because I played saxophone up until, I got accepted to college for it. So I got that going for me. But then I was listening to the track and then I'm like, wait a minute. I couldn't figure out where it started because you were like, 3 seconds into it. So what I want you to do here is, if you can, and I don't know, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but if you happen to have that track, if you can play it for me so that I can actually hear it and go, okay, that's where I need it to be. I need to know right from the horse's mouth where it's going to start so that I can go and match up, because I could figure out the notes, but once I don't know where I'm starting on this, because it's like, it's so damn fast that I can't I can't match them.
Well,
up.
That's why I gave you that transcribe software. I told you to download that, right?
Yeah, I didn't bother doing that.
Well, that's the start. That's going to break everything. So you download that and you'll be able to slow this down, right? The audio track that I sent you. And once when you hear the very, very beginning, and I haven't played this lick, I don't even think I remember. All right, so basically it's starting definitely in the 9th fret, and it hammer.
Whoa!
What's that?
Hang on a second here. Didn't you not want me to see what you were doing?
No. But this, these first 4 notes, you can only play here. You can only play on the 9th fret, right? Or you can play on this fret. You're not going to play it all, start it all the way up here.
Because it goes up to E, right? And that's kind of where
that's the first note it starts, right? So it's just starting right there. So once you hear that trill, those 4 notes, and it stops on that E note, that's where the lick. The lick actually begins after that. The first note is that pause of that E note, and then it goes into this. And again, I'd love to. We're going to get into this hopefully next week, because Steve will do it this week.
Yeah, well, we'll see, but we're gonna try. I gotta watch bad YouTube and Rambo, again. So
right.
I don't know how much practicing I'm gonna or transcribing. So
listen, we're 45 minutes into this. Let me real quick get to some guitar stuff and show something. For the first thing, I'll start out with man. So I was doing this extreme Nuno Bettencourt solo called "Rest in Peace." Super fun, because there was one lick that he does that's a da 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 da. It's basic.
Oh yeah,
it's
I know that lick.
Right. So it's 2/16 notes. So if you think
I know that lick.
if you think of 4/16 notes, right? Dot 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 dot. It's adding an extra 16th note at the end. So now you have 5/16 notes. But the way you get the swing feel is it's 2/16, then a triplet of 16th notes. So dot 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 dot. Yep. Yep. You got to lower your camera.
Like that, right?
Yeah, nobody can see.
Oh.
There you go.
Right? So isn't it like it like that?
It is. Well, no. Are you doing pentatonic, all pentatonic?
I'm playing a pentatonic, yeah.
Yeah, so he's doing like a sort of a he's doing and I'm actually doing down a half step because he tunes his guitar down a half step. So if you do it the way if people tune it up normally, it's
right.
So it's playing the D note to the F sharp note and the D note to the G note. Those are the pull-offs. Right, yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Something like that, right?
Yeah. So it's such a cool lick. And the way he phrases it and articulates it and everything. And I haven't played this in a while, but I'm going to show my desktop. And this is where Steve's got to stop talking, unfortunately. Otherwise, we'll get an echo. I don't know. I'm going to cure this. I will figure this out. So I'm going to switch to my screen share. And then we got the Nuno thing. In fact, Steve, I'm just going to take you out of this right now. And there we go. All right. Now Steve's gone. We can all talk about him. Say something nice in the chat about him. No, don't. Okay, so this is the Nuno solo. It's so good. So super good. Oh my God, I didn't even hear that lick. That's crazy. I didn't even hear that lick. Let me go back to the main thing. Steve, you're back on, I think. You there?
Yeah.
Okay. That solo is amazing. So good. So what I just had to learn it. I haven't played that stuff in so long. Since music school, I don't think I've transcribed a Nuno thing. Even when that Rise solo came out, I was gonna transcribe that. Then I saw like literally the next day everybody transcribed it, and I watched what he was doing. I was like, okay, that's not really my kind of technique, but it's cool. It's fun. But this solo, what was really intriguing to me was that whole, and again, I'm going to go back, Steve, I'm going to turn you off, sorry. Go back to screen share. And what was intriguing to me about this solo is the fact that it's so articulated so well, and he's got so many palm mutes in it. So that whole beginning thing, that little beginning section, and again, I'm doing it down kind of a half step. If you see it tabbed anywhere, it's going to be up here in a more standard A position, A major chord position, 12th fret. Right? But he's doing this. And even there in the video, he does it differently because there you can hear in the audio of the actual track, it's definitely a tap. because you could hear that note bend back down. Here he does this slide up. He does that kind of thing, and he may even do it on this fret. But that little part is just, it's very palm muted. And it's just really looks like a diminished scale, right? So you have, we'll do it from this half step down. You have 8th fret to 9th fret on the G string. Then it's a diminished scale. Or at least it looks like that. So you have, on the next string, you have the 8th fret. So on the G string, 8, 9, then 8 on the next string. Then it's, let me know if anybody's listening to this and if they could hear Steve's guitar echoing or anything like that. So, oh, I do actually have you in, yes, I have you in this. Okay. I'm going to put you on pause for a second, Steve. All right. So this, and then, so you get 8, 9 on the G string, 8 on the next string on B string, then you have 6. You got 6, jump to 9, come back down to 8. And then you're just going down from that 8 to 9 on the B string, and you slide up a whole step to 11, and you bend that up. Then you pull down a half step and that thing. Here he goes. Then he does this. Instead of doing that 8 to 9 with these fingers, he does the 8 to 9 with the first finger. I'm sorry, the second finger. And then he does the first finger on the B string, 8th fret. Third finger on the 11th fret on the B string, so you have, and that gets your first finger on that 9th fret now, instead of on the E string, instead of where you had the third finger on that 9th fret. So now you have that first finger, now you can get into that lick. And all that is the 13th fret to the 9th fret, on the E string, 12 to 9, so on the B string. And you hit that first note twice, dot, dot, and those are the 8th notes. Then you have the triplet. Then he comes down to pentatonic. And then he does this other stuff. But then he gets into this really cool part. Forget that. Right, so he gets that blues note in there, that little flat 5, and then he trills like a jazzy thing, and down a half step. But all of that's the cool part to me, was that little flat 5-y thing he throws in there, plus that little triplet thing, the 16th notes, then the triplet 16th notes. And for me, that was hard because I couldn't get that picking down. Steve is much better at the picking than I am, and I was having... yeah, I just took it really, really slow. And I was doing pull-offs from... And I think Nuno picks the whole thing. He might pull off those first 2 notes. Pull off there, then 2 picks. It's just something you got to take really, really slow. But you get that little swing feel in there. All right, I'm going to go back to Steve now. And... anyway, that was just a really, really quick thing. The Phil X thing is something is really, really cool. I think you guys are gonna enjoy. I just thought this solo is so cool. Nuno he's one of those special players. I mean, that's why everybody listens to him, right? I mean, he's just one of those guys that came out of that 80s, 90s era and has stuck around. I mean, think of all the guys, the Vito Bradas, the guys that kind of stepped away from the game, the guys that just there are some players that I wouldn't say didn't evolve, but they do their thing. Even so, here's the thing: I'm not slagging on Richie Sambora. I absolutely love his playing. I love his writing. That "Strangers in This Town" album is one of my favorite. But the thing that whenever I watch him now, like he's been at Norm's Guitars a lot, and I saw a clip of him jamming, and his solo stuff it's good, but it's very, very generically 80s. Like there's nothing that I've heard him plays great blues stuff, but whereas Nuno, my whole point is, man, he like that Rise solo, when that came out, everybody flipped out. Like that was back to the 80s kind of stuff, but he was doing this thing that you're like, I've never heard anybody do that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that solo was game, kind of game changing for 2025, or I think when it came out was 2025 or 2024. It was nice to have that back in the world.
Yeah. It was exciting. It made guitar. I mean, literally everybody in the guitar community was talking about it again. And and somebody, I like Extreme. I'm not a huge fan. I actually really like his voice for that band. When he did Van Halen, I wasn't so into it, but I actually just like the whole Nirvana and all that kind of stuff that we talked about last week. I got a little more respect for it because it was just a different period of Van Halen. It's nothing that I put on a regular playlist, but when I go back to it, I can listen to it, and there's like 2 or 3 songs that I actually kind of like.
Right. On Van Halen 3?
Yeah. But most people dismiss it completely, and they're so angry at where it went at that point.
Yeah, I don't think I've spent more than one time listening to it. It was just the songs were just, they weren't songs to me. Like it just wasn't. For me, it's a hard record to listen to.
Yeah, you should go back and just try. You might find something, a little hidden gem in there once in a while. But anyway, let me move on. We'll get this guitar stuff out of the way. Anybody watching, please like and subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. I don't think I mentioned that once, but it does help us. We're trying to build this little channel here, and all that stuff helps the silly algorithm.
You know who's a great player, and I don't think we've ever talked about him really ever in this podcast, but he kind of almost like got lost in the 90s was Jason Bieler from Saigon Kick. Did you ever listen to them?
I never listened to him. I know who they are, and I don't know who he is. I know Saigon Kick.
I bet you like, I mean, obviously everybody knows him for that Love Is on the Way, but I bet you would dig them, man. I bet you would really dig them. Like I bet you'd be like, wow, man, like I can't believe like I haven't found these guys yet. Because Jason Bieler is like, he's like the perfect, like he's kind of, I don't want to say Nuno-ish, like he's kind of like a better Zakk Wylde, like in a pentatonic sense, but not with that the Zakk Wylde tone. He's got like that. He's got the Riveras, which is the same amps that Skid Row was using on their Slave to the Grind.
I used to have a Rivera back in the day. Love those amps.
Yeah. So he's got a Rivera. His tone is fantastic. We'll have to talk more about this.
Send me something that you think is really exceptional.
But it's funny because that Nuno solo, that pattern, and we'll get to Phil X in a second, but that pattern is something that Jason Bieler does a lot of in his solos. And like I was huge, like probably way more into Jason Bieler than I was ever into Nuno, because again, the thing for me was as a guitar player, I was like, if I could kind of cop a lick or two and put it together, I was probably going to gravitate more. Plus his tone, I love that guy's tone so much more than Nuno's. And
Nuno's tone.
Yeah, to me, like I think Jason Bieler's tone is better than Nuno's. That's a hot take, probably, but I'll send you the Saigon Kick record. But
hey,
it was the pattern that was very reminiscent. So
if anybody was listening to that too, let me know, because I just brain farted in the. Did I have the desktop audio? Did you hear Nuno's solo? If anybody's watching that, let me know if you actually heard the screen
I
playing.
actually didn't, but I thought maybe that like the volume was down. So
Oh
yeah,
no, so I probably didn't have the desktop audio on. So let me real quick just replay that solo. And I'll take Steve off real quick. Put the desktop audio on. So this is let me see, I got things all messed up here. My desktop. Oh, Steve's not even in there. Funny enough. Because I took him out. Right, okay. So the desktop audio is on. Okay, so here is the Nuno solo one more time, just so you all can hear it. And then I want to show you how to use that lick a little bit if you want. I love that. I got to learn that fast lick, whatever you just did there, because that's not in the. What he does after that usually is the he goes to that whole. Something like that. But he uses open strings, but since I'm down a half step, it's actually. He gets that, but since I'm playing it down a half step here, that open string is going to be down a half step. But then he gets into the Hendrix things. Right, he does that kind of, and that little groove again. So even that solo, it's so awesome how I think I could take the desktop audio off and put Steve back on, and now we're here. That whole the beginning of the solo again, it has that cool little. Just a cool little thing, and then he gets into that fast part, and that just rises up to that one note. But all of that, it gets so melodic and blooms. He's playing the beginning of the solo is just, I believe, over an A chord. Maybe down to an E, back and forth a little bit, but I think it's all over A. And then he gets into that section, which I'm not sure what chord he goes into, but it definitely, it transitions up. Now that fast lick that he does, that's it. Something like, is that, that's it, right. That fast lick, what I would take out of that is, one, try and learn that. And sometimes I'll actually use my picking finger here. I'll do a chicken. Like I'll actually, just because I hate the sound of the pick against the strings all the time. Now when you're playing live and you're with all this noise and the band stuff and everything, it doesn't matter, right? But when you're sitting at home and I'm practicing it slow, sometimes I want a softer touch instead of hearing that picky thing all the time. But one way you can actually use this lick is take that pattern. Again, it's dot, 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 dot. So you have 2 notes, then 3 notes as a triplet. So you could use that like in pentatonics, right? In E minor pentatonic. And I'm just doing the E minor pentatonic on the 12th fret, the top 2 notes, and then I stretch out to that second pattern and I go from the 15th to the 7th. So it's. If you want to make more of a dominant thing, which is what this is doing, it's taking that minor third, which is the G string of E, and it's going up to the minor third to the 4th. So it's, I mean, a major third to the 4th. So it's instead of the minor, which is. So if you're playing over a minor chord, you got. And you can play pentatonic. If you do the dominant, you have. Right, you have that dominant 7 arpeggio, right? So you could take this also down to anything. You can go. You can do chromatics. Just mess around with different fingerings, different scales, but take that pattern as the concept and just mix it around. And that's where
I love that. That's one of my favorites, man.
That's where you get a lot of the mileage from these kind of licks, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you could run it up a scale. You could run it up patterns. Like Paul Gilbert, we always do that. He'd have those patterns, right, where he'd go, where he'd have a lick like this. Say you're just doing A minor or C major, right? Really, really simple. Then he'd go up, or there's a pattern he does that. Right, all pentatonic stuff, but he's just doing the same pattern. There's that one solo in Mr. Big, but there's a, and it's just that same pattern over and over, going up and down the scale. Well, what Steve was just doing was literally that pattern, the Nuno pattern, and he was going up the pattern, the scale pattern. So that's another cool little way to do this kind of stuff. Anybody have any questions, interests, whatever? Are you guys listening to Nuno? Is there any real cool solos that you learned anything from? And I haven't dove down the Nuno rabbit hole too much. Steve, all I see is your left nipple.
Does it look good? I mean, I've been working. I had chest day yesterday, so I'm hoping.
You have a cat cover in it.
Oh, well, I'm not taking my shirt off here.
All right, so real quick, let's get into this Phil X thing, because this is awesome. And this, if I go to my screen share and we play this lick, this is one of my favorite licks that Phil plays. It is so cool. So if you go to Guitar Breakdown, it's Phil X, The Drill's Guitar Lesson, How to Play 1 of 4. I'll put the link in the description. I always say that and I forget, but if anybody's interested in it, let us know. I think I do have the tab for this, so if anybody's interested in the tab, I'll get that to you too. But this is Phil showing a lick from one of his Drills tunes, and it's like this chromatic-y, well, it's not chromatic, it's pentatonic with minor third, major thirds, and blues notes here and there, which starts getting dissonant. Some open strings, which really, but all the lick rings together all at once. And I'll shut up and just actually play it, and you'll actually hear what he's doing. So let's see. Do I have my desktop audio on? It is not. Now it is. Now everybody can hear it. Let me know if you don't hear this, if anybody's watching this.
Bill was as cool as you. Ha! Whoa. Let's tune down. Suck it.
So that to me is cool. And he shows in this 4-part lesson, he shows some of it. There's parts where I actually teach it. If you go into the second part, I actually break it down even more. That's what I do with a lot of these things. If you ever buy our lesson packages, there's one that Allan did, the very first one, that broke down a solo that he did a live at Baked Potato. Let me get Steve back up here. Steve's there. Desktop's off. I just felt. I think we just had an earthquake.
Oh,
that's
wow,
interesting.
really?
Hey, welcome to California. It always seems to happen during NAMM times. So in the Allan Hines lesson package, the very first one I did, it was a baked potato solo that he did. A really, really cool one. Check that out if you guys are interested. It's on the YouTube channel. We still sell the lesson package. If you're interested, let me know. The thing was, though, I wanted him to break down the solo, but it was a live solo, and it was improvised, even though parts of it were things that he played. It was a song, Falling Up, or I forget what song it was.
Oh, Falling Up, yeah.
No, Decadence, no.
Elegant Decadence?
Elegant Decadence, that's what it was. And it is one of my favorite live solos. I mean, it has everything, and it has chromatics. It's got melodic minor stuff in it. It's got blues stuff. His phrasing, he's got these legato phrases that he does that are just so incredible. And so I filmed him, and basically I broke down each section. I said, what are you doing here? And then I showed him the clip, and then he said, well, I'm kind of doing this. Okay, this lick is familiar. This is something I play all the time. And so he breaks down the whole lesson that way, but he doesn't break it down note for note, that actual solo. So then I go, there's another 2 hours of the lesson where I'm actually teaching the note for note, and then breaking down just like I did with this lick as far as, okay, so this is a really cool pattern. You could explore with this pattern and do that. So you get more out of the actual solo. Well, so the same thing with this Phil X thing. When he came over, he broke down the solo, and he broke it down really, really well. But I went even a little further to break it down really slow for everybody to understand. And so right now I'm going to show you most of that and show you how simple it really is. It's really fast. You take it as slow as you can, and I'm going to break it up into little tiny sections. I'm going to try and make it not too long. If you want to watch the whole thing, go to this video. And again, if you want me to put the link in the description, just let me know. So here, desktop, we got Steve's audio. I think we can leave him on, and we're not going to be playing the desktop. So the lick basically, it's basically E minor pentatonic, right? So you're starting on the 2nd fret of the D string, and then you're hammering on to the 5th fret of the D string. Then you play the 1st finger on the G string on the 2nd fret, and you slide up to the 3rd fret. So 2nd to 3rd on the G string. So 2, 5, D string, 2, 3 on the G string. And then an open B string. And you let all 3 of those ring together. So now and I'm going to mute you, Steve, real quick, because I think I'm getting some of that. Okay, so you're good. So now, if you notice what's going on, you're just playing the E note to the 3rd, so the root to the 3rd, to the G, so if you're up here, right, you're just playing the octave of that. Then you're playing this note, which is going to be your 4th, to the flat 5, and then the B note. So if you were playing it here all in the 1st position, you'd have, so really you'd just be playing, let me get this in camera, you'd have 2nd fret on the D string, open on the G string, 2nd, 3rd on the G string, and the B string. But the problem is, I guess you can actually get all that to ring if you actually held the 2nd fret on that D string, hammered on from the 2nd to open to 2nd on the G string, and then you slide that up. You get those 2 to ring out, and then you get the open string too. So you can still do that. But the problem is this pattern's going up linearly here, so that's why he plays it this way. Then he goes from there. Now I can't even remember it. Huh, interesting. I knew this would happen at one point. I think that might be it. He slides up to that 4th fret on the G string, and then the 3rd fret on the B string. Then he slides back down from that G string 4th fret to the 2nd fret, hammers on again the flat 5 note. Then he pulls, and that's all on the G string, 2, 3. And then you have the 3rd fret on the B string. And then the open note of the E. So Then you get this weird shape here where you're sliding up, and it's a slow slide from the 4th fret, 5th to 6th on the G string. Then you have the 3rd to 5th fret on the B string. So 4, 5, 6 on G, and then 3, 5 on the B. And then you have the 3rd fret on the E string. So you end up with 6, 5, 3. So you have. Then you're going up a half step, and you get 7 on the next string. It's 5, 8, 5. So you're left with 7, 8, 5. So you're doing all these pentatonic things, and you're just getting those shapes to ring. Then he gets up to here. This one's a weird one where he goes the 12th fret on the G string, and on the B string it's just 10, 11, 12. And those 2 ring out. So sometimes he has 3 notes ringing out, sometimes it's 2. So this is a great shape where he goes 12th fret to 14th fret on the G string, 12, 14, then 11, 12 on the B string, and then the 10th fret on the E string. So you have, right? And again, that's all pentatonic. You're sliding from 12 to 10, or I'm sorry, 12 to 14 on the G string, and you're playing the 11th fret and 12th on the B string. But really, you could play that 11th fret here on the 15th fret, and that's your blues note. And then this note on the 10th fret of the E string can be played on the 15th fret here. So there's your E minor pentatonic scale. Right? But now he's just taking those notes and going, so that he can get these 3 notes to ring together. All right? And then it keeps going on and on. And I'm not sure if anybody's... I do this kind of lesson thing all the time. Hey, Steve. I cannot tell you how distracting that is in my ear to hear you playing. Even though you're on mute for everybody else. It's so we got to figure that out. Because as I'm talking, I'm hearing your notes going back and forth. We will figure this out. But I see there's a couple people watching. Let me know if that's interesting to you, if any of this breakdown works for you, or if it's just not making sense. Again, you can go this...
You know what's funny? I like, Dave after every podcast, like, we really got to get a guitar in your hands. We really got to get a guitar in your hands. We really got to get a guitar in your hands.
I know. And the reason why I want to, and actually we'll do it right now. This is why I wanted you to have a guitar in your hands. And right after this, we're going to get into it. But I'm not going to go through this whole thing and make it a 15-minute lesson. You can watch that video or whatever. But let me know if there's anything that was good or confusing, that the way it was shown, or if anything's confusing. If you understand the fact that I'm trying to show you that this is all just E minor pentatonic, and it's using minor third, major thirds, it's using a lot of blues notes, and the technique of this to get out of this, you don't have to learn this whole lick and then just play it the way he does it. Just understand that when you're playing pentatonic stuff, you can always take these notes and shift them to different parts. That whole Paul Gilbert thing we did in the last lesson where he goes... Right? He's just walking up this pattern, and it sounds kind of chromatic-y, but it's not. It's all just E minor pentatonic, but he's, instead of taking it in the normal position of that 12th fret, instead of just taking it and going, he's moving down different strings. You see him stretching the pattern into that pattern behind the 12th fret instead of doing it all in that 12th fret pattern. So with that allows you to open up and get these 3-note kind of pentatonic chords. Right? You get all these unique chord voicings. And that's one thing that one of my music teachers taught me, that was Shane Terrio. I talk about him all the time. He's my favorite guitar teacher. He taught me these 3-note voicings, and he said these are the most useful things in the world. If you're jamming over a blues in A, right, and you literally have just, say, some kind of... Now, that's not a voice most people would play, right? It's not an A minor chord. I'm just playing a little stupid A minor vamp or whatever. But you have all these cool little 3-note chords or 4-note chords. I'm just taking pentatonic, all those notes, and trying to get 1 note per string. That's a cool voice. Up here, you have the pentatonic, like think A minor pentatonic as C major too, right? Well, however you want, with all natural notes. So you can play any of those notes. But here's pentatonic. Well, now I'm going to take this note, and this note out of the pentatonic. Actually, that's another, right? So you go down all the 3-note sections, and you stretch it across the 2 patterns, and you'll get these unique chords. And that's what Phil's doing. He's just moving this stuff up into 3-note chords, and you're getting that ringing dissonance. So anyway, I see Steve smiling. He doesn't like what's going on.
I just have funny comments in my head that I'm just not saying.
I can't wait to hear them all.
I was just thinking, like, what would Chris do?
Chris.
Yeah, isn't that his? Oh, it's not Chris.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, it's not Chris.
Yeah, right, okay. All right, never mind.
We'll call him Chris.
Right. If you guys watch the beginning of this podcast, you'll understand that joke a little bit. Anyway, anybody have any questions? I think that's such a cool thing. And you don't just have to take these voicings up here. You can do them down here. Again, if you have A minor pentatonic, we can do the lowest 3 strings. Then the second pattern of A minor pentatonic. Well, you take that first note, which is D, the second note, so you have D on the low E string. You have your 5th of A minor pentatonic, which is the E note, which is the 7th fret. So you have 10, 7, and then 5. Right? That's now you get these notes that are kind of really close, and they kind of ring because this note is here. It's only a few notes away. You get a 4th interval here. You get a 2nd interval here, right? This D note to this E note, D to E, is only a 2nd interval. So you don't have a lot of chords that are, really rammed up against each other there. You move it to the next pattern and you go to the next string, go to the next string, go to the next string. I mean, those are all 3-note chords that you can use for an A minor chord or C major or anything, right? Because you're using A minor pentatonic, or it would be C major pentatonic. So when you're doing a jam, you don't just have to stick to these chord structures that you know. You can start opening up and thinking of, what, all these notes fit. Let me just, you got to start realizing, though, when you're playing certain notes, you may be landing on, if you're just doing scales and not the pentatonic breakup like that, you may end up landing on 9ths or 4ths, and sometimes those tones don't sound so great over chords that are root 3rd and 5th. Yeah. So you have to be caught, but it's a great place to start experimenting with. But so Steve, now that you have a guitar in your hand, the reason why I wanted you to have a guitar in your hand, what have you been working on? Is there a lick that you learned this week that you want to show under pressure? It doesn't have to be a great lick, but something that I want to learn from you. I want to see something that you do. Oh, you know what? No, let's do this. There was that lick that you had at Guitar Center, not the Don Mock one, but there was another one that you kind of made up that I kind of really liked.
Here, let me put the guitar down here.
Yeah. Let me put your camera on you.
No, wait. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, turn to your left a little so we could see the guitar more. Yeah, that. Yep. Now let me... Right, okay, so... Do it a little slower if you can.
Yep.
Okay, stop there. Do it one more time. Just to that
Yep.
point. Okay, stop there. Yep. Okay, interesting. So that's a dominant pentatonic kind of thing, kind of.
Yep.
Interesting. Oh, you got a little chromatic. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's chromatics.
Interesting. And then you walk down. You switch positions and walk down. You get up there, I think.
You know who's going to be really happy about this? Jared.
Right. The guy we met at the Guitar Center. Hey, Jared, if you're watching, this lick's for you. Yeah, so I saw Steve. That's one thing. When Steve gets his guitar dialed into some kind of audio system and we get the bugs worked out here, I want to get into something like this where he shows a lick, I show a lick, because that's something I would never play. Steve's got a certain picking way about him that I don't tend to do. And that lick, once he played that, we were just jamming at Guitar Center over Christmas. And pull your camera back up, Steve. And I remember we're just jamming and we're doing a bunch of things, trying to impress each other. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he pulled out this one lick, and I was like, whoa, wait, what was that? It just, that dominant sound after you're playing pentatonics or doing, major scaley kind of thing. Once you get that little minor third, the major third to the fourth, that thing, or even no, you're doing minor third to major third.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really chromatic too, because you're going up pentatonic. If you think of E minor pentatonic, I'll get on my little camera here.
You know how I started figuring that out? Like, you know where that came from? I was literally trying to learn the beginning of Three's Company.
Really?
Yeah. I was literally trying to learn the beginning. Remember it goes,
oh yeah.
That's where it came from. I was literally trying to figure out the opening.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So,
and then I put the lick together, and that's how I usually do stupid shit just to try to like make me laugh, and then I came up with this cool lick that way.
So what I really like about that, so the way I'm playing it, and I may be wrong with the way it is, but what I like about that, again, if you're thinking about pentatonic, even if you're adding a blues note in there, right? It's very, very... You get that major third, minor to major third. But then he's also getting a very chromatic thing in there because he's doing minor third to major third. Then he goes down the pentatonic, but then he gets this F sharp note in there. Now, if you notice, that's all chromatic. Those are the three chromatic notes he's using. He's using the second, minor third, major third. If you want to even get wilder, you can use that fourth. That's the cool part about when you get to the second, minor third, major third, fourth, flat five, fifth. All those notes are usable, right? In the blues, you have that's your fourth to flat five. Now I went to the fifth, flat five, fourth. Now you have the minor third, major third. That's all chromatic. Those notes are all in play and they all sound great. Now, so he gets this. There's your little, like almost a jazzy thing.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. But then the cool thing too, when he gets down to, you can almost get a unison note there, where you get the B note, then you go to on the B string, then you go to the 16th fret of the G string, and you get another B note. Now you could do that. Remember that Holdsworth thing I was showing you, Steve? You get that little unison note. Then you can go down chromatically. That's mixing the two B notes,
Right.
16 to 14 on the G string. Now you can mix that 16 to 15. You get that flat
Right.
5. So you have. Then you can also mix the 15 to 14. So I'm doing a pattern of on the G string, 16 to 14, 16 to 15, and then 15 to 14. So each one is being separated with the B note on the B string. So you have 12, 16, 14, 12, 16, 15, 12, 15, 14. Right now you get this really cool little, you're getting that flat 5 in there. But you're not just doing chromatic 3 notes at a time.
Right.
That's what I would get. So if I learned a lick from you like that, I'd start experimenting not with just the whole lick. I'd be going, oh wait, look at those little patterns that are mixing and matching. So I don't know.
It's cool.
That's
That's fun. I mean, like I kind of look at it like it's like a poor man's Warren DeMartini lick.
Okay. So I sort of see that.
Yeah, I mean that's
Sort of
kind
see
of
that.
like, because as you saw, you were like, like that's one of my guys, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That's why we
I
got to
lo-
get you. If people heard you plugged in, hey, look, the icon says to subscribe and like and click the bell.
Please,
Please
we
do.
we need.
I always
to,
forget to remind people, but man, it helps. It really, really does. This algorithm's fighting us so hard.
Yeah, we're fighting like an uphill battle. Like,
Yep. But anybody watching, thank you for watching. Really do appreciate it. I mean, Friday night, especially with all the NAMM videos you could be watching and everything. If you're watching this, we so appreciate it. I know we just have our silly stories and we try and teach them stuff. Let us know in the comments if you guys have anything you want to learn, if there's any topics you want to talk about, all that stuff. We can get into some stuff that you might be more interested in, or if this stuff is working for you, let us know that you're enjoying what we're doing. And if the teaching style is a little too, I get a little antsy when I'm teaching in this live thing. I'm noticing when I do my teaching on my standard YouTube videos that I used to do, that I'm hoping to get back into, it's a lot easier because I could take it slow. Then when I watch it and edit it, I could realize, well, I think this is going to be too fast for people or too complex, or I don't need to keep repeating myself about that idea or that lick. I could edit these things out. Here, I'm trying to not bore you all, because I know some people don't even want to learn some licks right now. They just want to sit and hear some stories or something. But let us know. Any comments are great because it really helps us kind of guide where this goes, and your comments are going to make this stuff definitely better. So, yeah.
or not. You don't
not.
have to do anything, right?
Yeah,
Just
no.
like watch us struggle and like gasp for air like a goldfish out of like the tank.
And so my point was, if anybody wants to hear Steve, because Steve, you really got to hear him plugged into an amp because he's a monster player. When I haven't heard him plug into an amp in so long, and when we were at Guitar Center, it was, I mean, he was in his zone because I know, because he even talked about it. He's dialing into like this Coltrane stuff, and we'll talk a little about that in a second. But he's dialing into more jazzy kind of things. And when we were at Guitar Center, we were plugged into Boss Katana, and we had it on the Brown channel, and it was just rock and roll nothingness. And man, he was just playing all these Warren DeMartini licks. He was playing his own stuff. He was playing, I mean, it was just all these things that I remember from back in the day. And he's got this vibrato that's so good, you can't hear when it's not plugged in. But I did tell him, I'm like, man, we got to get your guitar on here. We got to. So if you guys want to hear Steve play, let us know in the comments. And that's
Thank you. Thank you, drive through.
Thank you.
Thank you, drive through.
And then the Coltrane thing, how's that working out for you?
So what I actually started doing this week was it went from Coltrane, then I went to what did I do? Oh, and then I was working on an Andy Wood lick, like an altered pentatonic lick.
Okay.
That he did on his live podcast, which I enjoy very much. And then I came across this new guy that transcribes, and we spoke about him
Oh, right.
a little bit, and he transcribed an Allan Hines solo, and I was like kind of going through that. So I've been playing a lot of like in the Allan Hines vibe again. So for me as a player, I think like just inherently I'm a rock guy, like at my core. That's just what I do. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of where I am. And the Lynches and the Warrens and the Gilberts and those. I mean, you go back to our first video and we were talking about our top 5 guys. Those are my 3 guys right there. And it's like and throw in a little Eric Johnson and like that kind of stuff. And that's totally like who I totally kind of gravitate towards. So when I'm playing, it's just like kind of in autopilot mode, that's just what I do. But really what I kind of strive to be is more of like an old school fusion player, like a
right.
Carlton or a Robin or like that kind of thing. So like that's where I think where I want to be as a player, and that's kind of what I chase. And it's not as natural. It's never been as natural. So for me, a lot of that is so much different than rock playing. It's not, it's so much more like sophisticated and elegant. And I think like I'm becoming that player finally, but damn, man, it's taken me a long freaking time. The journey has been like so ridiculously long, but long story long, I think, you got to keep after it. And so eventually, if you chase after it hard enough, you become the product of that influence. So it starts to just naturally creep into your playing and creep into your being. So finally, I feel like, now I'm doing more like Carlton and Robin things. I'm adding, more. Like I'm not playing just strictly like on the downbeat and kind of playing, so, but it takes a long time, especially when you want to be a player that you just naturally kind of are fighting against being.
Well,
so.
that was part of our discussion we had before this podcast. We were talking about, there was Steve just out of the blue said, "Do you ever do that vibrato thing that I just went like this below screen?"
Great
awesome.
Hal, yeah.
And so he's like that shaky kind of vibrato, and like Tom Quayle does it. A lot of these new guys do it. Right. Yep. It's a vibrato across multiple frets. It's just getting it, and it's very, very intense. And Steve was like, how would you incorporate some of this into your playing, instead of just learning a lick that one of these guys do it with? Well, and I said to Steve, well, the reason why it's probably not coming out of your playing is because you're going down the rabbit hole of more of the Robin Fords, the Larry Carltons, all those kind of guys. The guys that, it's more about the touch of the notes, the subtle vibratos, the bluesier kind of more feel. Whereas the Greg Howes and the George Lynches that kind of do that kind of thing, they're heavy rock. They're really... they're being aggressive with that vibrato, right? Now, they have nice slow vibratos as well, but that really cool, unique kind of vibrato that really stands out, you kind of wouldn't do that in a Carlton or a Robin 40 kind of style thing, especially if you're doing jazz and some chromatic licks. I mean, you may try it, it may get thrown out of the bandstand, but it'll be interesting. But that's the thing. I mean, we like so many different styles of music. And we're learning so many things. And the cool thing is eventually we incorporate these things, and that's how you come up with your own sound. Because now, a lot of jazzers aren't playing that kind of vibrato. But if you introduce it every once in a while, you find a way to throw it in, like right. the what's his name? Timmons, Andy Timmons, right? He plays a lot of jazz lines that rock guys don't do. So he's got his own little style because now he's introducing some jazz stuff into the rock world. And so if you introduce rock stuff into the jazz thing, that's where it's all just fusion, right? But that is a hard mix because that vibrato is so distinct. I mean, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Right.
In such a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like that's the thing too. Like it's a combination of like developing your own style, but I think like you don't develop your own style unless I feel like you have to steal, like, because no one's a natural player. Like I've never met a guy that I've jammed with, or that like, unless you're like those guys.
Right.
Those guys are like freaks. They're aliens. You know what I mean? Like Timmons and Holdsworth and
but even those guys. I mean,
and,
so that's a difference. Holdsworth is. Timmons is a studied dude. Timmons went to school. He learned a lot of styles of a lot of different players. I don't think Holdsworth. I mean, Holdsworth. I think he transcribed. Not officially transcribed, but I think he transcribed a lot of horn players.
But I mean melodically. Melodically.
Right.
Just when they pick up a guitar, like he's blasting like lines, and it's like, and that's a combination of you're stealing stuff, you're listening to stuff, you're copying stuff. You have like vocabulary isn't just licks either. Like that's the thing. I always like say like I got to get away from licks, not playing.
Well,
licks,
that's what I was trying to say
licks.
in that whole that little the 2/16 notes to a triplet, right? That's vocabulary. That's not learning a lick. You could do that pattern, that rhythmic pattern anywhere. So instead of just stealing licks for the notes that are causing, sometimes it's not the notes that are making it sound so great. Sometimes it's more about the rhythm or the dynamics or the placement of those notes. Whether you started the lick, like sometimes you'll transcribe a lick and you'll be like, this is great, but it just doesn't sound the same as the way. Well, maybe they're starting on an upbeat, or there's the last 16th note right before the measure begins, and now the lick is offset in a way where the strongest note is being accented. The accents, the strongest parts are the beats, right? Or the one ands, the e-us, the one e and us, those in between notes aren't the strongest. So if you got a strong note, your target note, and it's landing on one of those middle beats, sometimes that could sound really cool, but that's why it sounds cool.
But that's the thing. Like that's what I'm working on. It's like so my old singer was a drummer. He was in a signed band, and terrific musician, fantastic musician. As far as a guitar player goes, he's not a great guitar player, and I don't mean that negatively, because that's not a negative thing. What he's great at,
you've been a dick this
rhythm.
Whole podcast.
Yeah, no. I have been I've been the bad guy today. We need a bad guy. We need like a Dick Dastardly character. And I'm going to be that guy. You could be
like we
Muttley.
discussed. We're gonna come on this podcast and we're gonna be total jerks, and we're gonna have masks, and we're gonna pretend like we're gonna have you don't know who I am. I'm
right. And it's actually just us, and then like you walk back onto the camera, and it's
who is that saying all that awful stuff?
Right. Where's Dave? Oh, I'm Frank. Right. But no, I'm saying like he's such a great rhythm player, and in a way like reminds me so much of Dave Grohl. Like, he is so melodic with his songwriting but he plays guitar, and when he plays guitar, it's like I sit there and I go, dude, like I always leave whenever I do watch him or see him play or listen to him, and I'm like man, it just like you said something to me that really stuck with me, and like I think about it all the time now. We're like, you said to me, like, dude, like we have more than enough ability to do what pros do. It's just figuring out everything in between, and it's something to that extent. And you were right, because like I'm sure everybody watching has been playing for a minute. And so like the hard part isn't doing this, it's not. It's what you do with it.
The funny part is that whole before this, I was showing him I guess I was in the jerk mode again. But I saw and again, not bashing on, but what's the Metallica's guitar player? Kirk? No.
Kirk? Yeah.
Yeah. What's his last name? Hammett.
Kirk
right?
Hammett.
So Kirk Hammett, I remember when he came out, back in the day, it was Joe Satriani and Steve Vai. They were the talked about guys. And then Kirk Hammett was in the mix because apparently he, as well as Steve Vai, took guitar lessons from Joe, right? I think Kirk did more than Steve. Steve just kind of took a few or whatever it was and got mentorship from him. But it wasn't like Steve taught Steve Vai how to play, or Joe taught Steve Vai how to play. But I remember Kirk being in the mix there, and I wasn't a Metallica fan. And I appreciate their songs, and I appreciate the solos work perfectly over those songs. But as far as a guitar player goes, I'm not a huge Kirk Hammett. Just not my style of kind of playing. And I saw a video of him jamming. I sent it to Steve, and it was him jamming with an amp and another bass player or whatever, and they're just jamming on like a clinic or something. They were in an auditorium, and everything was a little off. The solos were like not really good. Like it was a player that here he is making millions of dollars touring the world, and I don't necessarily, to me, think he's a great guitar player. Now, you can shit on me in the comments. Please do like and subscribe. But I say that in the aspect that I'm referring to this in, as far as guys that want to play backing tracks or play where it's a guitar player and a bass player and you're jamming or whatever. There are some guys that crush that. I mean, there's, the Allan Hines. He could pick up a guitar, jam with anybody, and it'll sound absolutely amazing. You got the Tom Quayles, the Rick Grahams, all these guys. I mean, Martin Millers, you got, those are the YouTube guys. You got the Andy Timmons. I mean, all these really, really pro guys can literally just jam. Now, Steve Vai, funny enough, I don't think he's a jammer. I've heard him jam little things that weren't his song. Same thing with Eddie Van Halen. You hear him play outside of his stuff, and he's doing this tapping stuff that kind of just doesn't fit. It sounds Eddie, and it works, but he's more of a song arranger guitar player. And Kirk Hammett falls into that same category where his songs are great. All the stuff they play is awesome. But when I just hear him jam, I don't know if,
Did you ever see that video? And I don't know if it's still on YouTube, where Allan jammed with Steve Vai.
Allan Hines?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Was it good?
I can't remember, but it was at MI, and I remember when Vi had.
Way.
Yes. You can ask Allan about it. In fact,
I will.
you should.
I'll call him tonight. I'll ask him.
Yeah, you should ask him about it, because I remember Allan was playing a Black Les Paul. I remember it so vividly. Do you remember when Steve Vai had that Guitar TV channel that he was trying to launch on YouTube?
Don't.
Yeah. So he did like a charity thing, and I believe I don't know if it was 24 hours of guitar or something, but literally like Vi was playing with everybody at MI.
No way. Is this still on YouTube, you think?
I don't know, but I remember seeing it, and I remember Allan. I'm like, holy shit, that's Allan Hines jamming with Steve Vai. And you should ask Allan about this. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna YouTube this right now. Steve.
I don't know. It's funny. You mentioned that, and then you mentioned Allan, and it kind of like went into my brain, and I'm like, did you ever see that? Yeah, that exists, dude. That absolutely exists.
It's not coming up immediately at all.
Yeah, it was on. I don't even know if Steve Vai made that stuff private. I don't even know if that channel exists anymore.
You said YouTube. It was Steve Vai had a, what was it?
It was like, it was like, I think it was like Guitar TV, Steve Vai's Guitar TV or something like that. Dude, I'm talking like 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's the very beginning of the YouTube. Well, slightly after. It was like 2006. Steve Vai live on Guitarist TV, Guitar TV music. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, there is something up there. So maybe that is insane. That is awesome. Yeah. I have to go down the rabbit hole. Because again, that's the whole thing. I'd be very, and funny enough, again, if anybody who's watching has heard Steve Vai jam outside of his own tunes, I'm not talking about like when he does is there camp or a boat cruise or something that he does sometimes. Isn't there a rock and roll thing that he does with a bunch of guys? Or no, there's like Andy Timmons, Steve. Oh, it's the G3 tour. Right. So he does the 3 guys, but then other people show up sometimes. And there's some videos of him and Sean Lane and Petrucci and Joe Satriani. Like there's 5 or 6 or 7 guitar players. GIT, I think there was one year where Alex Skolnick and, there were like 8 guitar players up there. Paul Gilbert was up there. And and it's fun. They play like standard, I don't know, a Led Zeppelin tune or something, rock and roll or something, right. And they're just jamming solos, switching solos in and out, and most of it's just generic rock soloing. But then when you hear Steve Vai, who's so unique, and he's got
it doesn't really work with jamming, It doesn't it's just because I can't see like his vocabulary just working with a blues jam or something.
I mean, you hear like if you listen, if you really, we talked about earlier, there's the demo of the Eat 'em and Smile thing that I don't know if it just came out or if it's been out there for a while, but it's so fascinating to listen to because those solos are so, everything about it, the little licks in between the solos, I mean, they're so Steve Vai, the little tapping things. It's like Billy Sheehan too. He does so many unique bass tapping things that, and Paul Gilbert gangs up on that when he does Mr. Big, but Paul has this blues thing too, where it was, I remember Eddie Van Halen, here I am going in circles with a million topics, I'm jumping in my brain, but Eddie Van Halen, I remember talking to my guitar tech guy and saying, man, I'd love to hear Eddie play blues. He's like, oh, there's a few things out there, and he actually plays really good blues. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, first of all, he played on the Letterman show a few times, and then I listened to that, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, it was okay, but again, it was Eddie on top of something. It was like Six Strings was talking about blending stuff. Well, blending thing, not just note and tones and mixing and everything, but it's also style. And you can't just play a solo because these are your licks and that's the solo you're going to play. You can't force it in there. Like, you have to really listen to what's being played and play to that music to really make a solo work. That's why the Dan Huff, Steve Lukather's, and all those guys are such monsters, because they play for the song. They're not playing their favorite licks that they're used to playing. Whereas, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, dude. Did you have like a live playing workshop class at school?
What was the live playing? I know what you're talking about, but
what where you would get on stage and.
So we called ours performance class. So at the end of the week, Friday, we had a jazz performance and a rock performance. So during
it puts you out of your element into like playing for the song.
But of course, as kids, I was learning a Van Halen tune in the rock performance, and I didn't really study on my Herbie Hancock tune, and and I'm using these Van Halen licks in Herbie Hancock.
Yeah, well, like the reason I say that is because when you're younger, unless you have that intellectual foresight to be young and to be able to play for what's right. But I mean, I remember I had Russ Parrish as my performance workshop teacher, and so it was Russ and the late Tim Bogart from Beck, Bogart and a Piece and Vanilla Fudge. He was so I often talk about how Scott Henderson was difficult and scary. Right. Tim Bogart was equally, if not scarier than Scott Henderson. Way scary. Oh my God, he was frightening. He was Simon Cowell before Simon Cowell was even like a thought, man.
Oh, that's funny.
He was just harsh. But he was right in the sense where guys would get up and he's like, how long ago did you guys meet each other? He would literally go, guys would get done playing. He's like, did you guys just meet each other 5 minutes ago? And they'd be like, no, we've been playing all week. He's like, all right, well, are you guys tone deaf?
Yeah, are you guys listening to each other?
Right. And so, music school was great in many ways, and in other ways it was kind of it gave me PTSD because I was always so afraid to overplay and play what was right and not necessarily try to shoehorn something in. there's like, I'm sure you'll see it if you're watching NAMM footage. And like, there's gonna be guys at booth that are playing like a zillion notes over something. You're like, dude, like that just doesn't work. You know, it doesn't fit what you're doing. Like, you know, guys will be playing together, and it's just,
Well, that's
you
why
know.
guitar is so fun, because there's so much to it. It's not just learning, one, how to listen to music. Two, you're learning rhythm and solo, which are two different things. But then you're combining the two where, you know, and then you get into the chord melody stuff. You get into, you know, different outside things where you got all this typical bluesy kind of thing. And then all of a sudden you're like getting into jazz, or you're getting into all these like exotic scales and these tones. And so now you're just exploring this whole thing. Then you don't even know how to play all that in a band context, because you have to understand how loud your amp has to be, where to stand not to get feedback if you're doing rock stuff, if you're doing all this, how to lay out and let other players play. Like a band, you know, a guitar player is just not doing a rhythm. He's not a funk. I remember the first time we played funk tunes in performance class, and it was, you know, you learned this cool little funk pattern, and you're just going at it like 100% the whole time. You're not thinking about the dynamics of the band. You're not caring about what the keyboard players, you're playing these full bar chord funk chords, ninth chords, right? And the keyboard player's trying to find his place. He's playing chords and stuff. Well, if he's a good keyboard player and you're forcing that issue, he's just going to play maybe a bass note and maybe a 2-note chord or something. So he lets you take over the full thing. But if he's playing full chords and the bass player is playing all this bass movement, walking bass lines, and then you're playing full on just strumming, it gets crazy. And if you don't listen to one another, it just sounds to you again, you're locked in here, you're kind of hearing that. But if you're in the audience, you go, "Oh my God, that is just awful."
Yeah. It's hard, man, because sometimes you need somebody to just kind of be a dick. You know what I mean? Like that, you know, you don't want somebody to be a dick and just in like a dick way either. But like,
no, but and it learns, and I'm sorry to cut you, but it literally, you learn lessons that change everything you could be going down this path, and somebody just gives you a nugget, and they're a jerk about, not a jerk, but they point out something in the most obvious way, and they're not soft on it. Like, "Oh man, you sound great," but they just say, "Dude, why are you doing that?" And you're like, and then you figure out, you go, "Yeah, you know what?" Because when I was getting into sweep arpeggios with all the Jason Becker and all that, and I was playing "I'm the One." And I remember I pulled out a sweep arpeggio in the middle of it, like in between two phrases, because we didn't have singers. We didn't have a singing program really. So a lot of times it was just the band playing. So in between some of that rhythm riffing, there was an empty spot, and I threw in this sweep tap arpeggio. I was like, "That's the coolest thing in the world." And I get off the stage, and one of my teachers just goes, "What was that sweep arpeggio?" I go, "Oh, that was cool. That was a Darren Householder tapping thing."
That's awesome.
He goes, "What does that have to do with Van Halen?"
Right.
I go, "I don't know. I mean, it was," he goes, "Yeah, but again, this is, you're trying to play in the style of, that's what we're, in this week, what we're teaching you. And understand that certain things will fit, certain things won't. Now, if you just throw the kitchen sink into everything, it's just going to sound like it. It's just going to sound like you're throwing everything." And that, when I heard that, I was like, man, I have to actually pick it. I can't just because I learned this lick this week, I'm going to play it in everything. The blues jam, the jazz jam,
Right. But in the same breath too, man, like, you know, you got to kind of develop your own voice. So you just have to be able to read the room. I think that's, you know, like there's been more times like when I've played with people or I've joined a band and I've replaced people in a band, and I was like, not a, you know, like the other guy may have been a better guitar player than me, but like he wasn't reading the room right. You know, he wasn't reading the personalities right. And so music is not a solo thing unless you're Joe Pass and you're playing just jazz guitar by yourself. But you know, they call it playing music with others because you're playing music with others. So there's a lot of that. And so that's the hard part, but you have to be able to have that intelligence to be able to kind of read the room and, you know, insert yourself where it makes sense. But
and what I was saying too, even that when he told me, like, "What are you doing?" He wasn't saying like, "Don't ever do that," because that's part of the
Right.
whole thing too. Because finding your voice is doing things that you normally wouldn't or other people wouldn't, and just experiment, because maybe you can make that fit, and maybe, or it may spark a different kind of idea and you're like, wow, that didn't actually work, but
Right.
there's something about that I can find, and you may have to work really hard at figuring out why it's almost working but it's not. And now
Yeah.
you come up with a whole new thing. So it's not to discourage and say, well, only play Van Halen stuff in the style of Van Halen or whatever. Do whatever you want. But if you're doing it for the sake of that's just a cool lick I learned and I'm just going to shove it over the top of this, like if you make a beautiful dessert or something and you say, well, I like chocolate icing and I like this icing and you just start throwing everything on, it's going to taste and look like shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good analogy.
But
Alex is we just got a comment. Alex Stratford is at the NAMM Show. Cheers, y'all. I'm at the NAMM Show.
oh, nice.
So,
Alex, let us know
yeah.
if there's anything that you saw there that's really super interesting. Be interested. I'm going to watch probably tonight. I'll be up till 3 a.m. watching some of the walkthroughs and all those videos and a few of the performances. But I'd be interested to hear, because I chose not to go specifically for 2 reasons. One, I didn't want to get sick. Every year I go there, I get anthrax, just without fail. And I just didn't need to be down for a week or 2 weeks. So I hope you're staying healthy and all that. Hope you're having a good time. Check out the Kiesel thing. That's off campus. I hear that's going to be really, really fun. And there was somebody else playing at the Baked Potato that I was super excited for. I know Alan Hines will play there probably. But yeah, let us know if there's anything.
How far are you from Anaheim, from where you are? About like an hour and a half?
About an hour and 15. Depending on traffic, it's probably about 45, 50 minutes, but with traffic, it's an hour and 15 or so.
Yeah, people don't realize that have never been out there. Like Anaheim is not really that close to Los Angeles in terms of like.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's spread out. So Los Angeles is literally huge. It takes up everything from Burbank, Sherman Oaks, Hollywood, this, that. I mean, it goes on forever. It's huge, LA County. And then Anaheim's below that. So
Anaheim's in Orange County, I believe, right?
Yep. So
I like Orange County. I like it much more than LA.
Yeah. LA's crazy. But so hey, next week I definitely want to talk. I wanted to talk about it now, but I think we're running into overlap. But I wanted to talk about that the Coltrane stuff where some of the licks. I'll show just one real quick thing. So that very first lick of the Coltrane thing, and I haven't done this in a week and a half, so I don't even know if I remember it. But I do remember how I transcribed. The very, very beginning was. I think that's it. That's it. Something, but that very first, it's really, if you look at what's it transcribed in, I actually pulled out, I have the real book for Coltrane, and it's really cool if you want to pick something up. Again, you have to, it's reading notes or whatever, but when you read the notes, they transcribed it in a way where it was just these notes. That very, right? It was just, it was, I think, the way you were kind of doing a little more.
Dude, it's so interesting how you do it and how I do it.
That's really, my point. That's what I want to get into next week, because there's a whole bunch of ideas in there that I do different ways, because I'm trying to get the inflections of the breath and the horn. And if you notice, he doesn't just go down the scale.
Right.
He's kind of gets it bent up a little. And he actually gets this note in there. It's all three of those notes, because the note, when he plays this note to this, it's bent down to up.
Right.
So when you're transcribing saxophone, you're really trying to get those little slurs. And there's a whole bunch of little parts there where you get certain unison notes. I'll get to the double screen. But so how do you play that intro of those 3 notes, of those 5 notes?
Yeah. So the way that I do it is I do it like chromatic down from the B flat.
Okay. Right. So you're doing this.
Yep.
Right. So
Yep.
which sounds exactly the same almost, except you're getting, which is really getting very hard, this note to this note to this note to this note, even though it's fast, right? But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a little in between. There's those little microtones, so you get. And you get those little extra, because the breaths are longer. And anyway, so yeah, I want to talk about that next week.
No, we'll definitely get into that next week. And then Alex just said, because he's leaving, cheers. Let's see, Third Power amps were killer. Summer school electronics and just all the pedals. And then there's a new neural cut. We were talking about the quad cortex. And there's a new color by Nita Strauss.
Oh, for the Ibanez stuff. Yep.
Yep. And yep. Cool. And thank you, Alex. We appreciate you watching.
Yeah. Thank you.
Definitely grateful. And we appreciate the update. Definitely when you're back on next week with us, please feel free to give us a full update.
Yep. So I think we'll close this out. The Coltrane thing I want to talk about next week, and there was and maybe the Holdsworth thing, if we can get a little into that or something.
Yeah, I got to work on it.
Yeah,
I gotta work on it.
But I think that's enough for next week. I mean, just that Coltrane thing alone with the phrasing, there's like 3 or 4 really, really cool moves that he does with the horn that are a little hard to transcribe on completely. And I think for me, I found like 3 or 4 different ways to do it. And
curious to see what you come up with, because for me, it's just path of least resistance. Like, I know I'm not always perfect, and so for me, it's just like I want to get it as close to what sounds pleasing, and so I as somebody who's been doing this forever, I'm definitely interested in learning your kind of philosophy a little bit more granularly, because I'm in the weeds with it right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you transcribed everything. I think we're at the same part of what we transcribed. There was another section that went further down the line that we talked about on the phone, and I was like, oh my God,
it goes into this other part where it goes. What was it? Something like that. I forgot what exactly.
Yeah.
But I haven't listened to it in a couple of days. But yeah, we'll definitely talk more about that. And I'm sure there's going to be tons of stuff that we talk about,
especially after we watch this NAMM stuff this weekend. There's going to be everything's going to come out next week, and people are going to be doing the reviews and have the gear and this and that and everything. So we'll have plenty to talk about. Anyway, I hope everybody had a great week. I hope you have a good weekend. I hope you don't freeze in the East Coast, Northeast.
I'm not looking forward to this next week, man. It's going to be hard. It's going to be like, so I'm going to the gym like literally every day until like Sunday. Like, I've been going every day just so that like next week, that Monday, I know I'm not going. Like Sunday into Monday, I know I'm not going because it's going to be like a freaking 1.5 feet of snow.
My buddy showed me a map that said that, and I don't know how true that, but with wind chill factor, you're getting like -25, -35 degree feel. That's crazy. I mean, that was upstate New York. That was more Buffalo.
I don't know what we're gonna get up here, but I know it's I also think though people are kind of overreacting in a way, because we really like the East Coast hasn't had a lot of snow in like 5, 6, 7 years. So I think like, a foot of snow seems daunting, but it's not like it's nothing we haven't been through before.
Right.
So, we'll all get through it. If you're on the East Coast, just be safe, keep your phone charged, have some hot cocoa, watch Rambo.
Find that channel we were talking about and have some
find laughs. That. Yeah. See if you can guess what channel it is that we were goofing on earlier. And, maybe at some point we'll, I don't know. I'm not going to blow up their spot.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Not on this channel. So, everybody, thank you. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Share this stuff. Really, really appreciate you. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for hanging, everybody.
Later, guys.